Hey guys, let's talk about two little formulas that could really help you out. The first one we're going to talk about is the if formula, and this allows you to bring logic into logic into the Excel formula. So for example, let's use this one here. We're going to look at these grades, and we're going to return if it's passing or failing. So what we're doing is equals if, and then the open parentheses, and then the first thing you do is the logic test. So what we want it to do is we want to tell it where to look. And so in this case, I want it to look here at this grade, and I want it to say if it's greater than or equal to 70. Okay, so that's the logic test. And this could be any number of things. It could be if this particular cell equals Fort Worth, right? Then you would look at a true or false return on that. So once you've set that, now the true value. So what is this cell going to say or do if that is true? And in this case, I'm going to tell it to show the word pass. And if that is not true, if it's false, I want it to show the word fail. Okay, so now this cell is looking here at this cell, which is the grade, and determining that this grade is greater than 70, so it's going to return pass. Now let me apply this to the whole column, and you can see here's a good test. It's 70 and it says pass. Here's 69, it says fail. So it is returning the correct answer here. That this just makes it a lot easier to see if it's pass or fail. And then you can go in and sort, however you want. Now, that's the if value. You could also achieve a similar result with conditional formatting, but if you wanted to actually have a column here that gave you the answer pass or fail that you could sort through, that's how you would do that. Whereas conditional formatting over here, if you just did this with conditional formatting, it's just changing the formatting of the cell, so it's not really giving you any type of return that you can play around with. Now let's look at if error. So in this particular case, I just made up these two things, like total and special, and then what's the average, right? So if we do just a straight up average formula where we're dividing, okay. Here's again, I set this column with the percentage formatting, so I don't have to do any multiplying by 100 or anything like that. Just leaving it the way it is, okay? And it makes that 0.5 into 50%. Now if I drag this down and apply that to everything, you get this divisible by 0 error message, right? Well, we don't want that. That looks gross. And if you've got a table or something set up where you're going to have data that's entered in as the year goes on, you might end up with issues like this where you've got these ugly signs in here. So we want to get rid of that, right? So instead of just doing our standard formula, let's put our standard formula inside an if error formula, okay? So if error, and then the first thing you do is your normal calculation that you would have done for the cell, right? So it's just that divider there to find out the average. And then what we're going to do instead is we can, if it's an error, right? Because this is the second thing. We do our formula, comma, and then what we do in an error. And we want it to report 0 in this case, if it's an error. Close the parentheses. Now this isn't an error, so it returned the formula. These down here, I fill it in. Look, now instead of returning that error message, it returns 0%. Now an alternative to this, if we didn't want it to say 0%, we just want it to be blank, right? So what we could do is instead of a 0, we put empty quotes up here. So you do empty quotes, and now when I fill it in, it's going to return just nothing. And so now it's just blank. But if I go in here and I enter data, it ends up giving us the actual percentage, right? So that's that's how this works out for you, right? So it doesn't muddy it up, it doesn't make it ugly. This is really helpful if you're needing to turn in work for some kind of, you're doing a report maybe for the school board or for a boss or something, your boss, and you don't want it to look nasty, or if you're just OCD and you hate those error messages, you can use this if error. All right, well, I hope that was helpful.